development of a digital ecosystem, and an ecosystem which is customer friendly, which is ubiquitous, and which is cost effective as the cash has been. This is our strategic goal, that we will be developing that ecosystem. And why we need to develop that ecosystem? That one, that we want universal financial inclusion. The financial inclusion without leveraging technology is not possible. So we must leverage the technology. Then we have been having the issue of very large amounts and quantities of currency in circulation. And very large quantities are lying outside the banking system. Still 9.5 trillion rupees are available outside the banking system. So another objective of this digitization is to reduce this CIC and bring more and more people to the digital platforms, so that they should be able to make all their transactions, if not all, but most of their transactions using the digital platforms. Then it is bringing efficiency, overall customer convenience, security. So these are all the reasons that we have developed this as one of our core strategic objectives, that we will be developing that ecosystem. We must create the incentive mechanism. What sort of incentives the merchants would have when they would be opting for the digital payments? For example, if there is some withholding tax, advance tax attached with certain merchants. So in case of digitization, when you are already documenting yourself, making yourself available for the scrutiny, because all the trails are available, then there could be a rationale that probably now there is no need to collect that withholding tax or something like that. So we will have, this is just an example, there could be some other, many others. We must create that incentive structure for the merchants as well as for the consumers. A brilliant step taken by Punjab government and Islamabad Capital Territory, that when you make payments at restaurants through card or through digital means, the sales tax rate is just 5%. In other words, when you pay through cash, it is 16%. So similar incentives for the consumers will have to be created as well. So that we are also discussing at the government level as well, and at some donors level as well, so that we can we create that sort of incentive structure. And then very importantly, the awareness part. We must create that awareness, so that more and more consumers as well as the merchants, they have that understanding and awareness with respect to these platforms, as well as how to use these platforms. So this is how we are planning to approach this very objective. And dream is that all these telewalas, chaiwalas, sabziwalas, they are also collecting the digital payments. Wherever we have seen across the globe the economies that have grown and developed, it was the SME sector that was the engine for that growth. And we must have increased our contribution in SME. It used to be 17%. Way back in 2006, it used to be 17%, and now it is about 4% or 3.5%, which is an alarming sign. We have a strategy available. Alhamdulillah, all the key stakeholders are on page. The finance minister himself chaired a meeting here in this room, constituted task forces on 3 sectors. One was SMEs, the second one was the agriculture, and the third one was the digital piece. And these task forces have done a marvelous job, let me say. They have come up with excellent recommendations. And We are working with the industry on implementation of most of these recommendations. Consensus objective is that we will have to develop the SME sector. And for that purpose, one, we have set a target that we will at least be doubling the size. Right now it is around 540 billion. And we have committed at the Prime Minister level that we will be doubling it to at 1.1 trillion by the close of the 5th year, inshallah. The overall SME is having access to financing. It's just 170 to 72,000, 172,000, 175,000. For here we have the target that we will having at least 4 times increase in this number. And the target is that around 750,000 SMEs will be having access to financing by that time. How to achieve this? Again, first and foremost, a conducive policy and regulatory environment. And for that, one thing that we don't have the data. As you said, that 5 million is a very old number. So we must know the latest number. So we have requested the Ministry of Industry through our Finance Ministry that we must initiate the SME census on immediate priority. Then we have also requested the government because this definition part, SME definition, it was decided way back in 2016. So there have been a lot of development since then. So there is a need for improvement in that definition as well. And then there are certain regulatory requirements that are currently under consideration, but very soon we will be coming up with some more enabling sort of regulations. One piece which was very, very critical, it was that the risk associated with the funding to SMEs is relatively larger as compared to the corporate sector. So how can we have that collaboration and partnership with the industry so that their genuine concerns could be addressed? And alhamdulillah, as I said, because all the stakeholders are on page, we have been able to have the risk coverage facility for the SMEs. And that is that 20% coverage is available first loss. It's a first loss coverage when the banks will be funding to the small enterprises, and 10% coverage is available when the bank will be funding to the medium enterprise. We must leverage technology. Without leveraging technology, because there have been demand side issues. It's not only the supply side issues. The demand side issues have been that no cash flows are available. No cash flow histories have been available for most of the SMEs, particularly the smaller ones, the small enterprises. So the leveraging of technology, that will enable us that now when we are bringing more and more merchants to the digital platforms, they are able to develop their cash flow histories, and in fact they are becoming bankable. Now the banks have access to their cash flows, and based on the cash flows they can see what sort of funding could be given to them, and there are some initiatives with respect to 75% of the farmers are dependent on informal means. The commercial banks, the microfinance banks, the institutions, all together just reaching 25%. 75% are still dependent on the informal sector, on the artis and on informal means. And the terms of the informal sector are prohibitive. So we must collaborate and see that how can we improve that front. Here again, the target is that right now we are around 2.7 million borrowers. So this has to be doubled again in next 5 years. And the outstanding level is it's slightly more than the SME. SME is around 550, it's around 800 billion. But still, given the size of the agriculture sector, so this has to increase. So the strategy piece here again is that one, that we will be having that collaboration with the industry. Another very important demand that came from the task force was that it was the digitization of the land records. In that respect, Punjab government is way ahead, and the banks are now in the process of integrating their systems with the with the land records, so that they should be able to create charge on the land while sitting in their offices. And we are in discussion with the other provinces, particularly Sindh, because the bulk of agriculture is in two provinces, so that they should also be able to have that digitization of land records, and then it could be integrated with the banks. The important piece again here is that this also, the engagement with the banks is that this is to be taken as a business line, and this is already largely market driven. There have been few subsidies available, but it's a very small portion available through some microfinance institutions, but it's largely market driven. We are in engagement with the banks so that they should be able to take it as a business line, having investment in their systems and HR, etc., for developing these products and capacities. Secondly, we are also playing a role of a facilitator in the sense that we are developing the linkages of the banks with the service providers, with the app providers. You see, there are different agriculture apps available in the market, and these apps, these service providers are doing a marvelous job. Let me say this. So the message to our bankers colleague is that we must engage with the farmers so that the farmer should be able to have the productive farming activities. The biggest risk faced by the financial industry at the moment is the cybersecurity, because that one risk can disrupt not one institution, but a number of institutions, because the kind of connectivity we are witnessing at the moment, currently. So this is the highest level of risk that is being faced by the industry at the moment, and the industry must invest in building state-of-the-art cyber resilience systems. There is no option, because not only that all these initiatives could collapse, but the trust of the public, that could also be betrayed. So it's very clear that this is the biggest and highest level of risk being faced by the industry. And if that is the highest level of risk, then it requires maximum focus at the highest level, right from the board and the senior and the middle management level. And then in terms of the investments that are needed to be made, we need to be all these stakeholders working on these digital platforms. They need to be on their toes. Let me say this, because it's such a dynamic environment, and the hackers and all these players, they are too intelligent and they are too robust, I would say. Let me say this. So you'll have to build your capacity so that you could preempt those vulnerabilities, and we cannot afford any risk with respect to this. But unfortunately, one aspect that we are witnessing at the industry level is the huge shortage of HR, both in terms of cybersecurity and in terms of overall IT sector. I would like the industry to collaborate with the academia, with the education institutions, with the technical institutions, training institutions, so that this capacity could be generated. There are no two options but to invest and build our capacity. We must be investing very generously in our systems. No vulnerability should be left unattended.